Hi, this is our workshop video and story for the week. We're going into Unit 4, Week 5, and our story is fiction, as you can tell in the top left corner. It's called Star Party. It's by Betsy Herbert and illustrated by Margot Lucas. Let's read. So let's look at our essential question for the week. It is, what excites us about nature? Keep that in mind as we're reading it. There are 3 short chapters. Chapter 1 is Getting Ready. Chapter 2 is called A Deal. Chapter 3 is called The Stars Win. And in the back, there's a little bit of poetry called Moon that we'll go through also. Some vocabulary words to keep in mind up here are drops, excite, outdoors, and pale. Follow along with me. Chapter 1, Getting Ready. Cassie opened the back door and stepped onto the patio. She looked up at the sky, which was growing darker, but it wasn't dark enough. "Sweetie," her father said, "I told you it wouldn't be dark enough for another half an hour. Opening and closing the door every 5 minutes is not going to make it get dark faster. All it's going to do is make the house get colder." "I know," Cassie said, "but I'm really looking forward to the star party." Cassie reluctantly went inside. So reluctantly, when she says reluctantly went inside, that means kind of slowly or hesitantly. She's hesitating to go in. "When will everybody get here?" she asked. "They'll be here soon, honey," Mom responded. "In the meantime, please go and get your brother." Cassie went upstairs to look for her brother Marcos. She was pretty sure she knew where he would be. When she opened the door to his room, she saw that she was right. Marcos, who was 6, was under the covers of his top bunk. He had a book and a flashlight that Cassie could see shining through the bedspread. "Hey, Marcos, it's almost time for the star party," Cassie said. "It's a great night for it, too. The moon is new and not too bright, so we should be able to see a lot. We might even see meters flash across the night sky. You know, shooting stars." Her brother, however, did not share Cassie's excitement. "I'm not going to the party," he said in his voice muffled by the covers. "You know I don't like the dark." Of course, Cassie knew how Marcos felt, but she'd been trying to change his mind. She knew if he'd only give it a chance, the idea of a star party would excite him too. "It's not scary at all," Cassie said gently. Marcos poked his head out and glared at his sister. "I know that," he said angrily. "I'm not scared, I just don't like the dark." Then he pulled the covers up over his head again and repeated, "I'm not going to the party." Dad joined Cassie in the doorway in time to hear Marcos's last comment. He walked to the bunk and pulled back the covers. Chapter 2, A Deal. "Why don't we make a deal?" Dad said to Marcos. "You come to the party for 10 minutes to listen to Cassie, say hi to our guests, and look through the telescope. If you still want to come inside after that, you can." Marcos looked at Dad. "Only 10 minutes?" he asked. Dad nodded, and so did Cassie. Marcos took a deep breath and started to climb down. "Can I bring my flashlight outdoors?" he asked. "No, buddy, I'm sorry," Dad said. "We can't have any lights on out there because that makes it hard to see the sky. Anyway, your eyes will adjust to the dark, and you'll be able to see just fine." Cassie held out a hand, and when Marcos took it, she gave him a friendly squeeze. "Just 10 minutes, Marcos said. "Just 10 minutes, Cassie repeated. They went downstairs and outside, where it had finally gotten totally dark. Mom stood on the patio, talking to friends and neighbors who had come over for Dad's annual star party. Marcos looked nervous. "It's going to be great," Cassie whispered in his ear. She loved the night sky, just like her father did, and spent hours studying the planets and stars. This year, Dad said, She could be the one to tell everybody what they could see as they stood and looked at the sky with just their eyes. Then Dad would let their guests look through the big telescope to see things up close. Marcos went over to stand by Mom. Cassie felt bad for him. She couldn't imagine being scared of the dark. When she looked up at the night sky, she felt so happy to see the stars. She loved to find the shapes of the stars made, especially on a clear night like this one. Everything was perfect. The pale new moon wasn't too bright. The stars that twinkled like diamond drops were easy to see. The November air was chilly, but not too cold. Cassie smiled happily when Dad asked her to come forward. Chapter 3, The Stars Win. Hi, everybody, Cassie said. I'm going to show you my favorite thing first. It's the constellation called Cassiopeia, and it's my favorite because I'm named after it. The guests laughed, and Cassie continued. The Cassiopeia constellation is made up of 5 bright stars. They look kind of like a spread out letter W. Look pretty high up into the northeast. Can you see it? Cassie felt a tug on her hand. It was Marcos. I don't see it. Can I go inside now? He whispered. Cassie bent so her head was even with her brother's. Now she could see things the way he did. Look up and find the brightest thing you see, she said. I see something really bright over there, he said, pointing. That's the planet Jupiter, Cassie told him. We learned about the planets in school, Marcos said. Jupiter is the biggest. That's right, Dad said. Do you want to see Jupiter through the telescope? First, I want to see Cassie in the sky, Marcos answered. I haven't seen the W yet. Cassie told Marcos to find bright Jupiter again and then helped him find the constellation from there. I see it. I see a W. Marcos suddenly shouted. Can I look at that through the telescope too, he asked. Of course, Dad said, but you've been out here for more than 10 minutes. Do you want to go back inside now? No way, Marcos said. I want to see what else is in the sky. This is really fun. Dad smiled at Cassie and winked. She smiled back. Marcos didn't mind the dark that night. The stars had won him over. So we have a short poetry called Moon. Oh, I know that the moon is a rock, not a big chunk of cheese. Men have walked on it, but there's not a man in it. Oh, I know that the moon doesn't shine like a flashlight. Instead, it reflects rays from the sun far away. Oh, I know that the moon isn't close, like next door, but the full moon is beaming, as bright as a friend in the shadowy night.